her. I'm gonna seat, when Deb comes in, I'll seat her for Michael. And I'll seat Chris for Rob. Okay. Welcome to the regular scheduled meeting of the Planning Commission for June 12th, 2025. On our agenda, we have the Pledge of Allegiance, and then with new business is the referral from Zoning Commission petition to amend the zoning regulations, special permit uses permitted in the C30 and the C30S zones, section 5.10.3. And an update from our zoning enforcement officer regarding Button Ball Road stormwater detention basins. And of course, our highlight of the evening is the reading and approval of minutes for a regular scheduled meeting, April 10th, 2025. With that, let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, the referral is for the zoning commission, and basically we are asked to take a look and see if this review is consistent with the plan of conservation and development. And I've gone through the POCD as well as Alan, and so one of the things I was looking at is there's some copies of the POCD if you want to look at it, but thank you.
Sure, thank you.
First, go to page 24, the Town of Old Economic Development Commission, and they talked about leveraging its existing assets for economic development, and they talked about Old natural amenities, support outdoor recreation, build arts and cultural traditions, encourage local businesses as well as small home-based businesses, create experience-centered dining, clarify regulation process, facilitate growth of the type and character desired for the town, and facilitate growth of supply chain and demographic supports. It says nothing about gas stations. On page 25, it also talks about neighborhood and seasonal commercial uses and services should be allowed in commercial locations along Route 1 in Laysville area and along Shore Road and 156. Again, neighborhood and seasonal commercial uses, and so that really doesn't again relate to gas stations. And then we go to page 26, policies. Future development should be consistent with small town atmosphere of Lyme, including both physical settings and sense of community. And then item number 3 on the bottom of page 26, we're talking about commercial development should be compatible in scale and appearance with town character and designed primarily to serve the retail and service needs of the residents. Commercial uses and their expansion should be limited to 3 commercial areas: Halls Road, Laysville Center, and Shore Road from Mile Creek eastward to the Soundview area. As we have discussed, basically we have 4 gas stations in town. We have 2 in the Laysville area. They're less than a quarter of a mile apart. We have 1 on Halls Road that has been newly renovated. And we have 1 in the Soundview area that's also fairly new within, I think, the last 5 years. I'm not sure that we really, we're not really addressing the need for, additional gas stations anywhere in the town of Lyme. And as a reminder, when we make a decision on this, we need to reference the POCD so that we're demonstrating consistency with or against it. That being said, any thoughts, Howard?
Well, going forward too, I'm not sure how many gas stations, if you look into the future, you're really going to need. So I don't really see a need for it. I know my concern would be that the properties that are for sale, say on Halls Road, are being marketed more toward the highway than to the needs of Old Lyme, and that could result in gas stations or other things that we necessarily would not find desirable. So I don't think there's a need for any more now or in the future.
Welcome, Deb. You're being seated for Michael. We just were discussing the first item on the agenda, the referral from zoning commission, petition to amend the zoning regulations. It talks about deleting the text of retailers, dealer stations for sale of motor vehicle floats. This is specified in 5.10.3.
To address your point, the particulars of impetus that drove the zoning commission to act suddenly now was a rumor, true or not, that the condo spaces at 100 Falls Road were going to be bought and turned into a Cumberland Farms gas station. And zoning didn't seem to think that was what they wanted at that location. So they put forward this amendment to remove that possibility from happening. So that's why you're getting this now.
I see.
And again, up to you folks, whether you think that that's consistent with the PCD or not. But again, the thought was whether it was a truck stop or Cumberland Farms or whatever else, that Falls Road is not really suited for that sort of activity. And being between two exits, there was a fear that was likely to come in at some point in the near future.
Question, in order for a gas station or a motor vehicle fuel depot, or whatever you call them, to be approved today, does not that require a special?
It would require a special permit. Yes, it would. Yes.
So the zoning commission at that time could deny that application?
They could deny it, but again, they recognize that the Chestnut Market, they had denied that one 3 times. It went to court. Eventually, the court overruled the zoning commission and approved it, and it got built. So there was a fear that even if they denied it, that they would go to court and eventually a judge would approve it anyway.
Makes sense. All right. Thank you very much.
So does this include, said motor vehicle fuels, does this include charging stations?
The charging stations are dealt with separately.
Well, that's a motor vehicle fuel.
It's,
Well, we don't consider, it's not considered a fuel under our regs because we have a separate reg designed to deal with charging stations. So, yeah, you can argue the point, I guess, but as of right now, fuels do not seem to include, at least as our regulations interpret it, electricity. And again, maybe going forward, we're going to need to adjust that. But again, we have a separate regulation dealing with charging stations and how they get put in. And we have a separate regulation dealing with motor vehicle fuels. At the moment, at least, those are treated as separate categories.
So hypothetically, you were doing this to block at Cumberland Farms, but say Tesla could put a charging station in their convenience store, and that would be allowed.
Theoretically allowed. I mean, right now, the regs read such that if you are adding any commercial use of more than 30 spaces, you have to put in electrical vehicle chargers.
Right.
And we offer the opportunity with using just essentially a zoning permit to put in 2 or fewer at any location in town, more or less. 3 or more requires a special permit. So at the moment, we have provisions that allow commercial sites to put in 2 or fewer, basically, 1 or 2 electrical charging stations almost anywhere. I don't see that changing at the moment. And again, we're going through the revisions of the regs. Maybe going forward, we're going to change it further. But at the moment, the reg is relatively permissive towards electric charging stations. And again, the goal was not to have future gasoline stations.
your thoughts?
I think there will never be another, in my view, another mom and pop like we're supposed to do, family owned stuff. And Grable's got the only one, and he's got a pretty good niche market going there, and Laysville, but that's kind of an accessory use also. But to have somebody, I mean, that list of gas stations that I went through, they were all run by a family selling gas, and the markup on gas the profit margin on gas is pretty small. They make a lot more money when you go in and buy a $4 cup of coffee than they do on the fill up for the tank of gas. So the only gas station that I can see ever coming to Old Lyme would be another convenience store, gas station combination. And I'm not, it's just a statement that you're not gonna, I don't think you're gonna put any mom and pop outfit out of business by enacting this rule. Because there's not enough money in it to make it work.
And just the cost of tanks, insurance,
Oh, yeah.
that's a whole nother
I
ballgame.
mean, the reason that they really went bonkers on outlawing gas stations was because in the old days, they were steel tanks, single wall. They didn't have much monitoring. There was no rule about when you replaced them. And nowadays, to own a gas station, the only people that are gonna own them really are gonna be the big boys, because they are a bugger to keep up with the rules.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't see that this is really gonna hurt our opportunity to get gas. I don't see that it's gonna hinder somebody who wants to be in the gas station business, except for big boys.
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Deb?
100% with Mr. Macknick on that. I know when I was on Halls Road, there was talk back then about, or rumor, I should say, about Cumberland Farms wanting to buy that space. And I feel like doing this is somewhat of a protection because we are an off ramp of a state highway and everybody knows the traffic on that road. When the sun is shining is intense, and it would just give more truck traffic to Halls Road.
Anything else? Do I have a motion?
Okay, so just to be clear here, from what you're doing is reporting back to the zoning commission on whether this is consistent or inconsistent with the plan of conservation and development. So the motion needs to be framed in the sense of it's consistent or inconsistent, and some very basic reasons why we would be consistent or inconsistent. And again, Harold, before you came in, recited a bunch of issues from the POCD why he believed it was consistent with the POCD. So
Then for the plan of the POCD states that we should especially support, family, small operations. This does not hinder that. So if somebody's going to make a motion so we're not crossing a POCD there. And as far as where, I don't think it hurts anything.
I could
Well-
just make a motion, right, that the zoning commission's recommendation is consistent with the POCD. Therefore, make a motion that we vote in favor of.
In favor of the deletion of the
Yeah.
text.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I would like to add an addendum to that. Say that any commercial development in these areas is to be consistent, limited to the commercial areas of Halls Road, Laysville Center, and Shore Road from Mile Creek to Sondu area. And also that we are recommending this so that any commercial development is consistent with keeping with the town's revision as stated within the current POCD.
It's fine with me.
Do I have a second on that? Or seconded? All right, any further discussion?
Will we be getting things like this from time to time as the revision keeps going?
well, no, this was done separately and sort of in some ways as an emergency issue
Okay,
there.
okay.
Because there was a fear, as you said, of Cumberland Farms coming in and they wanted to just get this into the books.
Okay,
This will be translated into the new regs as you have them. We're not ready to give you the new regs yet. You'll get them probably in another month or two.
okay,
But no, you're not gonna get piecemeal sections of it.
Okay.
You're gonna get the whole new block of regs, I mean, time to digest them. But no, again, there was again, sort of this momentary fear that Cumberland Farms was coming, we had to do something. And that's what this is in reaction to.
All right, thank you.
We have a motion and an addendum to the motion. It's been, they've both been seconded. Do we have any further discussion? Howard? Chris?
No.
Deb? All right, not hearing any further discussion. Go to the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, let the record show that the vote was unanimous and it passed. All right. Mr. Eric, you're up. Button ball.
Okay, per the agreement that you guys entered into, it was supposed to have been completed as of the 31st of May. Starting very early in May, I started letting Reagan know I need a schedule, I need to know when this is happening, you gotta take care of this. And then basically nothing, and then finally sort of some snide comments back about it, essentially stop harassing me, I'll get it done. And then it did happen into beginning of June. Per the plan, it was supposed to have a silt fence, which was not installed until I threatened to stop all permits until it was installed. And so finally it's there. Whether it matches the plan that was proposed by Seamus Moran, I don't know yet, because according to their attorney, they have 45 days to give me an as-built. And we're into that period now. The challenge at the moment seems to be this. The neighbors, particularly at 31 and 33 Button Ball, really wanted the silt fences to make sure that no one, particularly their kids, fell into the holes, while the holes were just basically mud holes. They are now seeded. They have put hay down, but the silt fences seem to block some of the water coming off of the road into the holes. So the most recent storm we had over this past weekend, there was still flooding on Halls Road because water that would have otherwise gone into these basins didn't, because the silt fencing was there. I seemed, in talking with Ed Dante, our public works director, he seems to believe that in the absence of those silt fences, that these detention basins will work as designed. And before the silt fences were up when it rained, they did seem to catch the water. So hopefully the silt fences are a temporary measure until the grass grows in and the situation stabilizes. Once they come out, again, hopefully the situation there will be as designed. I will await the as-built from Seamus Moran confirming that it did get built as designed. It has sort of left me distrustful, or even more distrustful, of Mr. Reagan, since I had to sort of wrestle with him to get it done. But here we are.
How about putting down mats instead of a silt fence?
Straw wattle, the grass will grow in a week.
Hopefully the silt fences won't be there long. And again, the only reason I was able to get the silt fences at all is because I showed him on his own plan, you show silt fences, they're not there, make it happen. Matting is not on the plan. So my ability to get that when it's not on the plan, I don't know. I can certainly ask. But again, hopefully, given the weather, given whatever, the grass will come in quickly, and then the silt fences will come down and will be set. It has been a process, and we still need to, again, make sure that the common driveway that goes up to the house in the back there, together with the detention basin in front of that common driveway, are built to the plan, because that's probably where we're going to get most of the new water if, in fact, these detention basins work as they're supposed to work. Right now, that detention basin is full of mud.
My second question, are these retention basins being filled up by all the?
Well, the ones on the road are going to be maintained by our public works department once they are established. So theoretically, Ed will be in charge of keeping those in good shape. The one that I am particularly worried about is on the other side of the stone wall on one of the properties with a common driveway. Theoretically, that is to be maintained by the property owner. It's not going to be cheap to maintain. And I've already put the other property owners that have rain gardens on notice that they'll be responsible for maintaining their rain gardens. So the enforcement obligation on my part is to make sure the property owners do what they're supposed to do. The other piece of this is that the driveway, the common driveway going up to the two properties in the rear has to be pitched so that the water flows into that the detention basin there. I don't think at the moment it is properly pitched. So before we issue any COs for those buildings, I need to confirm that the driveway is built as designed in their own plans. Because again, the only way all of this is going to work is if every piece of the puzzle is working as designed, because otherwise it's ledge. And as we've seen over the last year, it is prone to flooding unless you have the adequate drainage basins in there. So it's going to be continued pressure on my part to make sure that we're keeping it in good working order.
Aside from that, any projections on how long this is gonna continue?
Well, again, hopefully the detention basins will be as designed and will grow grass and will be okay. He's finishing up on his last 3 houses at the moment. And so I'm expecting he's going to be coming in for COs on the 2 in the back in the next few weeks, maybe a month or 2, because I see them on Zillow as being marketed. He's trying to sell them. So yeah, my big lever is going to be the CO when he goes to try and sell them and say, is the driveway built as designed, and prove it. But beyond that, it should be at least the initial stage of it completed within the next couple of months. The trick is going to be on my part, making sure that all of these detention facilities are maintained going forward. Because again, that detention basin on the private lot, if it's not maintained, we're going to get water on the road again, because that's where it's all pooling right now. Okay.
Thank you. Any questions from anyone? Okay, thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is the reading and approval of minutes for the meeting April 10th, 2025. Todd,
I would like to make a motion that we accept the minutes as posted on the Old Lyme Town website.
Second,
all right. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Unanimous. I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn. Do I have a second?
Yep.
All in favor?
aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time.